Today, of course, is Memorial Day Sunday, and it is a time that we reflect upon those individuals who gave their life while serving for our great country. Actually, in reality, no one really ever died, because in unity we totally believe that there is no such thing as death. So today, let us honor those who served our country so well, as we also honor their dedication and their love for their fellow man and their country. And I want to use this lesson to have us reflect upon a true teaching, a great teaching of Jesus Christ, that if we in our world would actually live it, then there would be no possibility ever of having to add any new names onto the Memorial Day rolls because of war. I want to read from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 7, the first 5 verses. Do not judge so that you may not be judged. For with the judgment you make, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can we say to your neighbor, let me take the speck out of your eye, while the log is in our own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. This section of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount consists of 5 short verses and only about 100 words. Yet it is hardly too much to say that at its surface face, it is the most staggering document ever presented to mankind. In these 5 verses, we are told more about the nature of man, the meaning of life, the approach to God, and the salvation of the world than all the philosophers and theologians have ever told us before, because it explains the great law. Jesus' statement, do not judge, is against the kind of hypercritical, judgmental attitude that tears others down to try to build oneself back up. It is not a blanket statement against all of the processes of thinking, but it is a call to be discerning rather than be negative. Jesus said to discern false teachers, use righteous judgment, and trust God to be the final judge. Judge not that you be not judged, for with what judgment you meet, you shall be judged. If you and I understood for a single moment the meaning of these words and really believed them to be true, they would immediately revolutionize your life. The plain fact is that it is a law of life that as we think and speak and act toward others, so will others speak and act towards us. Whatever sort of conduct we give out, we are inevitably bound to receive the same. Anything and everything that we do to others will sooner or later be done to us by someone, somewhere, sometime. The good that we do to others, we shall receive back in like measure. And the evil we do to others, in like manner, we shall receive back also. This does not in the least mean that the same people whom we treated well or good or bad will be the actual ones to return the action. This hardly ever happens. But what does happen is that at some time, some place, often far away and long afterwards, someone else who knows nothing whatever of the previous actions will nevertheless repay it, grain for grain, to us. For every unkind word we speak to or about another person, an unkind word will be spoken to or about us. For every time you cheat, you shall be cheated. Every time you deceive, you will be deceived. Every lie that you ever utter, you will be lied to. Every time that you neglect a duty or evade a responsibility or misuse authority over other people, you are doing something for which you will inevitably have to pay by suffering a like injury yourself. Judge not that you be not judged. This, dear friends, is the true principle from God as taught by Jesus Christ. It is a critically important teaching, and if you and I could just grasp its meaning, what a difference it will make in our everyday lives. Would not such an understanding do more, if practiced, to decrease crime and raise the general moral standards of our community than all the laws ever passed by Congress and all of the formal punishments handed out by courts, judges, and juries? Many people obviously think, especially when they are strongly tempted, that they can probably escape the law of the land, outrun the police, or slip through the clutches of authority in some other way. If, however, they understood this law of God, it's a spiritual law, and it is unchanging, and it is as impersonal as the law of gravity. If they really understood it, they would think twice before they ever treated other people unjustly. A great example of this spiritual law is the law of gravity. This law never sleeps, never off duty, it's never off its guard, it's never tired out, it's never compassionate, but it's also never vindictive. And no one would ever dream of trying to evade it, coax it, bribe it, or intimidate it. People accept it as being inevitable and inescapable, and they shape their conduct accordingly. And the law of judge not is the same as the law of gravity. About the only difference in these two laws is that most people on planet Earth today do not act in accordance with this law. And then we wonder, why is this happening to me? Now we can see that we had better not do to anyone else anything that we do not wish to have be done to ourselves, because that is exactly what will happen to us. But it is a poor law that does not work both ways. And so it is equally as true that for every good deed that you and I do, for every kind word that you and I say, we will in the same way, at some time or other, give back an equivalent. When you feel hurt because someone has been ungrateful for your kindness, it shows that you have been looking for gratitude. And this is a big mistake. The true reason for helping another is that it is our duty to help others insofar as we can do it wisely. That's so important. Or because it is an expression of love. How many times have we done things for other people, but actually it was unwise? It did not help them, yet we thought it would. The very fact that anyone is looking for gratitude means that they are putting the other person under a sense of obligation. And that person will no doubt feel this subconsciously and resent it strongly, because such a thing is highly repugnant to human nature. Do your good deed and then go about your business, neither expecting nor wanting any reward. One day, Jesus was teaching in the temple. And in the 7th chapter of John, the 24th verse, Jesus said this: Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment means right useness of our judgment faculty. As most of you know, judgment is one of the 12 powers of mind that we have. What Jesus is teaching is that it is critically important for you and I to judge correctly, because whatever we judge will come back to us, and Jesus always wants the highest and best for every one of us. In judging, we as humans are constantly judging the appearance in the outer, people, events, and circumstances. All of these are temporary appearances. They're not permanent, and they will change. To judge righteous judgment is to judge that which is eternal, unchanging, holy. Judging otherwise is totally unwise and unprofitable. Yet the world teaches us to judge the unreal and that which will change. Deepak Chopra, who was here not too long ago, calls this kind of judging object referral. Gary Zukav, author of The Seat of the Soul, calls it external power. There are many ways we judge and make choices that are in error. I had a friend who came back from World War II, and he had lost his leg. And so, wanting to be sympathetic and so on, I went up to him and I said, "Charlie, I'm so sorry that you lost your leg." He looked at me and smiled. He said, "John, I didn't lose it. I gave it." What a judgment about his own condition. Many times you and I judge ourselves to be weak, dumb, of little self-esteem and little worth. But this kind of judging is totally in error, because the real us, the real you and I, we are spiritual beings, made in the image and likeness of God. And we are already, at that level, we are whole, perfect, and complete. Every one of us is. Didn't say we expressed it. I said that's what we really are. And we're learning how to express more of it all the time. Because this is the truth, this is unchanging, and this is the truth about your and my eternal identity. If we continue to judge in any way, we will become that way. There was a young lad about 7 or 8 years old years ago. He had developed a very negative attitude about himself. He was a weak person. He felt he was no good. Nobody would like me. I'm nothing. And because of this kind of judgment, he became exactly that kind of person. It seemed that everyone picked on him. He felt like he was a total failure. And that young lad was me. Judge not that you be not judged is the law, and it worked perfectly in my case. I wonder how many of us sometimes judging in error about ourselves, and then we're starting to live out that kind of judgment. In object referral or external power, we feel an intense need to control things and people. We feel an intense need for external power, the need for approval, the need to control things, and the need for this external power. The power is based totally on fear. This kind of power is not real power, or as Gary Zukav says, authentic power. When we experience the power of the true self, there is an absence of fear. There is no compulsion to control and no struggle to gain approval. This is, of course, at our spiritual level, our eternal level. In this need for external power, our reference point is our ego, E-G-O, erasing God out. The ego, of course, is not who you really are. The ego is the image that you and I have of who we are and what we are. It's our social mask. It is the role we are playing. And this social mask, or this ego, thrives on approval. It wants to control, and it is sustained by its own concept of external power. Because the ego lives in fear, it produces erroneous thoughts and concepts about ourselves. Our true self, which is our spirit, is completely free of these things. It is immune to criticism. It is unfearful of any challenge. It feels beneath no one. And yet it is also humble and feels superior to no one, because it recognizes that every being on the face of this planet is the same self at the spiritual level. The same spirit in our different disguises. There is an affirmation in the Course of Miracles that states this: "Today I shall judge nothing that occurs." Today I shall judge nothing that occurs. Non-judgment creates silence in our mind. It is a good idea to begin every day with affirming that statement. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. And we need to remind ourselves of this statement every time we catch ourselves judging erroneously. Whatever it is that you are judging, you have created. Whatever you are judging, you, not God, you have created. I have created. For me, this was a very profound statement, and perhaps some of you will find it profound as well. I had to work with the idea quite a while before I could accept it totally, because the world teaches us so differently. Yet it is the true teaching of Jesus Christ, and that is why Jesus gave us this truth. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. If we will look at our human physical life through spiritual eyes, we will see that our physical world is a learning environment that is created jointly by the souls that share it. That's you and me. And everything that occurs within it serves as our learning. You know, there's that wonderful story about this man that bought an old farm, and it was dilapidated, it was run down, hardly any lawn at all. The fields were terrible, and the house and the barns needed repairing and painting. In 2 years, the place was a showplace of the county. Beautiful, manicured lawns, beautiful flowers all around, repaired barns and house, and painted, the fields golden with the harvest. It was so beautiful. One day the local preacher came out, and he was going around, and he says, well, God and you did such a wonderful job on the lawn. God and you painted the house. God and you planted the flowers. And God and you, God and you, God and you. And I guess the old boy got a little perturbed at that, and he said, well, Pastor, he says, I'll tell you this. I'm sure that God helped me, but you should have seen this place when he had it all alone. Well, that's a little on the judgmental part, but I guess it's all right. Another very profound statement that I had to work with for a very long time before accepting the truth for me is this statement. We are here in this world. We chose to come here for the sole purpose, S-O-U-L, of experiencing the consequences of our choices and judgments. Let me repeat that. It's so important. We are here in this human world. We chose to come here for the sole purpose of experiencing the consequences of our choices and judgments. Think about this and see if it will not eventually change your life, your way of thinking, your way of living, your way of acting. When you make a choice, any choice or judgment about yourself, ask yourself two things. First, what are the consequences of this choice or judgment that I am making? In your heart, you will immediately know what those consequences might be. Secondly, ask yourself this. Will this choice or judgment I am making now bring happiness to me and to those around me? If the answer is yes, then go ahead with that choice. If the answer is no, if that choice brings distress either to you or to those around you, then don't make the choice. There's a very interesting mechanism that the universe has given all of us to help us make correct choices and judgments. The mechanism has to do with sensations in our body. Your body experiences two kinds of sensations. One is a sensation of comfort. The other is a sensation of discomfort. At the moment you consciously make a choice or judgment, pay attention to your body. Ask your body, if I make this choice or judgment, what's going to happen? If your body sends a message of comfort, then that's the right choice. If your body sends a message of discomfort, then that choice or judgment is not appropriate for you. Your future and my future is generated by the choices we all make. I want to leave you with some beautiful thoughts on truth. Our prayers, our words, our acts of kindness to others are the only things that we keep. For all the rest that's unlike the nature of God is dissolved and released and disappears from us. Errors of thought, word, and deed are worked out and satisfied under the law, but the good goes on forever, unchanged and undimmed by time. The greatest message I can give you this morning is this news that all sickness, sin, poverty, confusion, all weakness of character, and all the rest, all disappear under the higher laws of the healing Christ. The higher laws of spirit overrides and supersedes all of the lower laws of the physical and mental plane. It means that you and I, because of our essential divine self, have the power of rising above these laws, above the lower laws of consciousness, into the infinite dimension of spirit, where such lower laws no longer affect us. We have not broken the laws, we have merely ventured beyond them, and we can step out into the warmth and beauty of the sunshine of God. This is your Memorial Day message. Judge not, that you will not be judged. It's not only for us personally, but it's for our country and every country in the world. If all the countries on earth really understood this great teaching, then we would never, ever have to add names to our Memorial Day rolls. You and I can live this principle. We can start, and then we can watch it grow. Not only in our life and the world we live in around us, but we can send it out throughout the world. And we will see God's peace and love following all that we do. Have a wonderful, happy Memorial Day holiday, and God bless you. Thank you. And now it is our time of sharing together. And this is one of the great opportunities and the great blessings that we have, is to share with others all that we have that God has given us, and to send out not only our material gifts, but let us place the love of God upon these gifts. Because as we do that, all of the good will come back to us, shaken together, pressed down, and running over. And in that consciousness, let us affirm together our offertory prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother, God.